and welcome to the Beef Edge, the Teagasc Beef Podcast, for all your latest news, information and advice for Irish beef farmers. I'm Catherine Egan, and on this week's episode, I'm joined by Teagasc technician Michael Fagan to the Newford farm to get an update on the farm as we approach winter and an insight into the heifers that were finished at 17 months. Michael, you're very welcome. Weaning has taken place on the farm in Newford. How did they perform this year?
Yeah, the weaning this year has been very productive. I suppose this year, like most years here in Newford, it has worked out very good. The weaning took place on average on the 16th of September. We weaned the bull calves 1 week, and then we weaned the heifer calves a week later. So on average, the Newford weaning took place this year on the 16th of September. And just a little bit of background on them, like all the weaning calves themselves, they're all sired by Ideal, Fiston, Dermaloch Matt, Lapon, Tom's Choice, G-Stad, and all the first calvers were Edendale Ivor. I suppose this year is one of the unusual years. We have 86 weanings in total, but our ratio has been very high, 60 males this year versus 26 female heifers. And I believe I've heard it before also in other farms, that ratio is one sex is outdoing the other sex compared to previous years. The 60 males that were weaned anyway this year, they were weaned at 327 kilos. So that's an average date again from birth to weaning at 1.37 of kilos per day. And I think that's very good because Newford had an outbreak of TB this year, and we lost some cows, we lost some calves. So once again, one against the other, getting an average yield again from birth of 1.37 from birth to weaning is very good for us. All them little male weanings, they were all castrated on the 30th of July as well. And as it stands at the moment, since weaning on the 16th of September for them, they're on 1 kilo of an 18% crude protein ration. And that ration is costing the farm at the moment $4.40 a tonne. And those weanings, male weanings, they'll stay on a kilo from the 1st of October. They're on a kilo of ration. They did get some ration before they were weaned, but the fact that their mothers do have a lot of milk, they don't be consuming a lot of meal. But from the 1st of October on, they're on a kilo of ration. As a comparison to their heifers, there are 26 comrades, 26 heifers. Their average weaned day for the herd two was also 26th of September, and those 26 heifers were weaned at 328 kilos. And their average day from birth was 1.32 kilos. And I suppose the only comparison this year I can say to those, the heifers last year's heifers were weaned at 300 kilos. These heifers weaned at 328. They're almost 30 kilos heavier compared to their comrades last year. As I said, the plan for them, for the weanings this year, the plan for them going forward, the males will stay at grass for as long as possible, depending on the weather. It's all down to the weather now at the moment. As I'm speaking to you here now, the sun is shining in at me. But so far for the month of October, so we're after nearly getting 6 inches of rain. And September day, we're only running about a little bit over 4 inches of rain. So we've got a lot of rain now recently. We're hoping for a dry November down here in the west, like last year. Last year was a super month. So I'm kind of hoping again, and hope that it'll work out. But if all goes to plan, those male weanlings that were weaned at 327, hoping to maybe house them around mid-November, late November, if all works all okay. And if we do house them around that time, the male weanlings will go on about 1.5 kilos, along with 72% DMD silage. I like to keep I know ration is dear at the moment, but I like to keep them up to at least 1 kilo to 1.5 kilos. Previous years, we would have been giving them 2 kilos. And another big key thing to help us at the moment to keep them at grass, we'll try and leave them. We have split the weanings. There is 60. We split them into 2 groups, 30 and 30, for ease of management and better utilization of grass at the moment. That's what's made life a little bit easier for us at the moment. The fact we've split into 2 groups now. I suppose the other big key thing I suppose have to watch at the male weanings at the moment is where we're getting a lot of wet down here at the moment. Day temperature is around 13, 14, 15 degrees. So we need to watch out for pneumonia as a big time, where they may get constant wet, then very clammy days, cold nights again. So I suppose pneumonia now is one of the main issues that we'll be watching with the weanings.
And will they be vaccinated going into the shed, Michael, or what's the health plan to avoid?
Yeah, we will vaccinate them when we get them in November. Now, they were vaccinated there for pneumonia just before they were weaned off their mothers, and that's a big push on for them now. So there should be no really setback for them going in. I'm confident enough that we'll get over our weaning or pneumonia that way.
That's great, Michael. And the cows are housed at the moment and are scanned. How did they scan this year?
Scanning worked very well for us this year. As I said earlier, we did lose some cows due to TB, but over and all, out of 75 cows that were scanned, 68 of them was in calf. We did the scanning results on the 17th of August. We'd had a 10 weeks breeding period. We had a 100% AI, and we had 3 teaser bulls used with moo call heat. And I have to say, just for anybody that's maybe in doubt in moo call or leaving technology over to take over from the farmer's hands, I would have to say moo call really does work. It's a great tool, and it does exactly what it says on the can. It's very, very productive. This is our second year now to use it, and it's been very successful. As with our cows, we had 54 cows held to the first service and 13 cows to the second service. And we also had a teaser running with the heifers as well. And there'll be 13 of them held to the first service out of 21 heifers. So within the first 6 or 7 weeks of calving, we nearly have 80 cows calving down out of the 88 cows to calve down this year, the 89 cows to calve down this year. So moo cow played a major role, and it picked up all of those. So it does exactly what it said it would do. So we have a very successful calving interval coming up from the 1st of February on, where we will have about 80 cows calving down in the first 6 to 7 weeks out of 89.
It's going to be very busy, Michael. I suppose the key thing will be managing these cows over the coming winter. What's the plan for managing the cows in the weeks ahead before calving?
As at the moment, all cows are housed now. They're probably housed 3 weeks earlier almost 3 weeks earlier compared to last year. I think the last of the cows last year were housed on around the 8th or 9th of November, but we have them all in now. What the farm manager is doing at the moment, the key things is all cows have been tail clipped. It's a tool or something that I would recommend. It does keep the cows actually that extra clean on the slats. It does help to probably reduce mastitis on the slats too as well. And obviously when you're calving down too, you have a cleaner tail, and the little calf too is easier to gain at the cow's tit, and there's less bacteria. So that's one thing that has been done already. In next week or in the coming days, we're going to probably condition score all those cows, and any of the thin cows, which we don't have too many of them this year, we'll pull them out. We'd probably have only less than maybe a handful, 7 or 8 of them. And if I think they're thin enough, or the farm manager will think if they're thin enough, he'll probably introduce a little bit of meal to them, but we'll see when we've them pulled out. Any cow that's over a condition score of 4, they'll probably go on restricted silage, as what I would say there is that you just probably get silage just in the morning only, compared to the rest of the cows as a condition score of 2.25 or up to 3 and a bit. They would have silage there 24/7, so they would. That would be the big thing for the cows. And I suppose dosing, they're housed now. They'll be given a few weeks before we'll do any fluke or lice. Will be done in the coming weeks, but just not as of the moment. So I don't expect any issue. All our cows are in good nick, and we just keep them in shape now and mind them to get ready, because here we are now, the 20th or the 25th of October. We'll be start calving in the next 11 weeks' time, give or take.
And Michael, you mentioned earlier the heifers this year in Newford were finished at 17 months. How did they perform?
Yeah, to date, out of those 40 heifers, 36 of them have been sold off or drafted off grass at the moment. All of those heifers were drafted off grass with no meals, except 4 of them. The heifers at the moment, they're gone at just under 18 months or 534 days. Those 36 heifers graded R-3 equals. Their average live weight going up the ramp of the lorry was 557 kilos. And just to give you an idea, the average date of birth for those 36 heifers was the 22nd of February 2021. And I suppose the key point there for those heifers, just under 18 months, their carcass weight was 290 kilos with no meal involved, and their average kill out was 52%. The sale price for those heifers, price per kilo, was got €5.06. And I suppose that is the beauty of selling them probably at that time in August. The first batch was drafted the 4th of August, and the main bunch, the 20 heifers, were drafted again at the end of August. That's when price per kilo was good, and we were able to cash in on that and getting that €5.06 all in. The sale price for them all in all, is just under €1,476. And I suppose the key point I want to point here is, out of the 36 heifers that has sold, only 1 heifer didn't meet the quality payment system, but yet she graded R equals 2 equals. And as I said here earlier, the only bit of meal that those heifers got, they can consume 253 kilos of concentrates, or €90 worth of meal. And as we stand at the moment, there's 4 heifers left on the farm. as we approach the end of October. I'd be hoping that they'll be gone maybe in the 1st or 2nd or 3rd of November, and that will be all our heifers gone. And I suppose my key point here is we had those heifers, the bulk of these heifers gone at the end of August. So we have all the grass from September and October, which made room for all the weanlings to have a lot of extra grass, meant less fertilizer. And I suppose the key point is too is, labour is so scarce on farms now. It is less work for the farm manager too to have those heifers gone off the farm as well.
That's great, Michael. In comparison to previous years, what differences did you see of finishing the heifers this year in comparison to other years?
I suppose the big thing here, Catherine, is the heifers that went this year in 2022, they only consumed 308 kilos of ration in their lifetime. If I compare them to the heifers that were sold in 2021, those heifers consumed 570 kilos of ration in their lifetime. So that's the one big thing I've noticed in that. This year's heifers are gone at more or less, will all go at R-3 equals at 290 kilos, as I said, under 18 months. Last year's heifers, while the graded R equals 3-, and they were 20 kilos heavier at 311 kilos, but those heifers were gone at 20 months, 605 days. So there's an extra 2 months of a difference there. And that's when I look at 2020 and 2019, it's the same thing. We didn't draft our heifers till they were 20 months of age. And the heifers that went in 2020, they went to 300 kilos. This year's heifers are gone at 290 kilos under 18 months. So I suppose the little bit of planning there, the difference of getting those heifers out to me in this year in 2022, getting them out in early mid-January, their tummies got adjusted to the climate in the end of January, all of February, and when the grass really took off from St. Patrick's Day on, their stomachs was adjusted to it, and you cannot beat the early grass to put on the live weight gain. And they were already that 6 weeks out, and when the grass came, the good lush grass or the early grass, they took to it and they thrived on. And that's where I found that our key point here is getting them out to grass early meant we were able to meet our targets of getting those heifers gone at the 18 months.
That's great, Michael. I suppose you also mentioned there you were going to be clipping the tails of the cows in the next coming weeks. I suppose for management tips on the farm in the coming weeks, as some cattle are being housed, you mentioned the different dosing programs and health plans you're putting in place. What are the key points that you'll be doing in Newford the next few weeks?
Look, we're heading into November now. This is a time where probably keep all your animal records up to date is one of the big thing. I know after the summer there, we may a few tags. We've ordered tags. We're going to replace a lot of tags in the animals in the next couple of days. We have them ordered and they're coming in. A big key thing is I want to put a hedge into one of the paddocks, and I'm getting pricing and quotation on that. I mean, the hedge, Newford is very open. It's going to provide a shelter for the young calves in the next 2 to 3 years when they get a bit of growth up in it. It'll also play a part in biodiversity. And as I also said there is, we're only 10 or 11 weeks away from the calving in again. And now it's time to start getting your sheds organized, getting disinfectant. The big thing too, the farm manager will be ordering his pre-calving minerals in the next couple of days, just to have the order gone in, make sure we have it there. I have the farm manager will also be there talking to the meat plant, and they'll be drafting bullocks in the next couple of days as well. And I suppose the weaning sits out with the grass at the moment. I want to take fecal samples of them at grass at the moment to see what's the level of worms out there, infections that's there, to see what I need to be ordering in my dosing program coming up. And now, as here we are, the 25th of October, fertilizer is finished. I want to do soil samples and have that done in the next couple of weeks, to have that done coming into the new year, as we won't feel new year coming in January, February, March. So once I have my soil results done, have my results in, I can start planning our fertilizer routine coming 2023.
That's great, Michael. Thanks very much. A busy few weeks ahead with calving season just around the corner.
Thank you, Catherine.
That's all for this week's episode, and my thanks to Michael for joining me on the show. You can catch up on all other shows and interviews from the Beef Edge podcast on the Teagasc website at teagasc.ie, or you can listen on Apple and Google Podcasts as well as Spotify. Don't forget to rate, review and subscribe so you never miss a show. For all other updates from our beef programme, keep an eye on our Twitter and Facebook pages. Until next time, I'm Catherine Egan, and thanks for listening.